just a call.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
During the cold and gray months of World War I, both sides of the enemy and the hero, depending on which side you were on, of course, ventured into no man's land, played a nice, peaceful game of soccer, and it very much is now the time for the show itself that brings a ceasefire to any war in any country on any lines of sovereignty. All gunfire stops once North American Harness Update rolls onto the airwaves and everyone goes, oh boy, it's time to play the Daily Double. And we don't even cover Daily Doubles, but it just brings them back to the days of yore when son went with father to trek. And for some reason, this is being told like a caveman limerick. Son go with father to track, and son bond with father, way father could never bond with son, until one day parakeets stole their mother, and then they had to go fight the parakeets. But that's long. We don't need to go into caveman history. I'm sure enough people learned about it in their grade school classes, the same way my grade school taught me everything about World War I, up to and including the great Chevron Wars between Belgium and Austria. But that's not going to help me handicap the Can-Am Pick 4 at all. It's not going to help anyone handicap the Can-Am Pick 4. It's not going to help Mike. It's not going to help Rod, who are also on the show with me. And it's not going to help me. My dehydrated self is today's product of choice is, of course, purified water. Don't drink and talk. That's not necessarily, it's not multitasking, it's not productive, and I believe 3 out of 4 people do choke doing that, but it's the number one product that stops dehydration. That is purified water. I don't know what's purified with, I don't know what it's purified of. My guess is spirits. But, and not the kind of spirits that, make you go whoop, 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 whoop. Those kind that Kentucky understands. Not much happening this evening. We kind of got through most of the real hectic months until more of stake season starts to roll around. Western Fair is on hiatus until, I believe, October 6th.
4th.
Roddy chime in on that one. 5th?
4th.
October. I was between 6, 5, and 4. They're all numbers to me. And because of that, we have less of a hurry to rush into things, but there's still the Can-Am Pick 4.
You're getting ready to go for the Armbro flight at Woodbine if you're interested in that sort of thing.
Oh, wait, that's right. That's the second elimination. Are they behind the gate right now?
Yeah, they are.
That sounds like up there they go. It's gone. This is elimination with Hannelore Hanover. This is a really jam-packed elim because it had Hannelore Hanover, who's still trying to be a racehorse after wanting to be a mommy towards the end of last year. Emoticon Hanover, who kind of became the division leader, and Oxhorse, Ice Attraction. And he has this one Swedish mare in the race that's currently sitting 5th right now. Darling Miriaz, who earned over $750,000 racing over in Sweden. And man,
that was phenomenal on the track, by the way. Just unbelievable. Like, you had to see this horse.
Well, unfortunately, I'm seeing her right now, not on the lead. But then again, Hannelore Hanover is not going to hold on as we go to our Canadian announcer, Dick Ebersol, with the call. And so the horses are making their way to the hef. And on top is Hannelore Hanover, 56 seconds. Pretty soft tempo up there, if I do say so myself. As it's Hannelore Hanover. She's the mare in charge. Top expectations, not really showing much. In fact, instead of going forwards, she's going the other way. That's going to hurt Emoticon Hanover now, as she's going to just stay in there, not going to make a move until it's maybe too late, as it's Hannelore Hanover. She's hit 3/4, 123 and 4. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Hannelore Hanover turns into the stretch. She's got a sizable lead. I had a sizable lead once, but that was back with my first wife. Emoticon Hanover gives chase to the inside of top expectations, still up there. And the rest of them not really wanting to do much of anything because it's, well, how about that? Hannelore Hanover. She won.
I want to know why Manchego's even racing if they're going to race her like that.
I know.
That's I mean, I have no idea what that was, but that's not her.
For those who didn't watch the race on account of potential lawsuits on our side, Manchego has not been raced aggressively as a 4-year-old as of yet. But to be fair, they went 50-3 in that mile, and I'm not sure if Manchego's ready to go 50-3 against these older horses yet.
Well, that is a new track record.
Freaking range. They haven't put her in a race yet.
Well, that's a new track record. That's a new Canadian record.
She looked really good in the track too.
All right, it's time for a Catolo grammar lesson. Rod, cue up the theme music for this new segment on North American Arts Update. Catolo's grammar lesson. Okay, I can do it myself. Something like that. It's like pinky. No, Rod, that's. I think we get a copyright strike for that. I'm pretty sure every time you play that, Drew Brees. That's not his name. What's the name of the guy? Drew Traumer. What's the name of the guy who hosts Price is Right?
Drew Carey.
See, Drew drinks a lot. Could come over to my house every time you play that song, and instead of paying the fine that's required for violating copyright, he just kicks me in the nuts, and I don't want that. I don't want that. That hurts me. That hurts my family.
We're just gonna do a 2-hour show tonight. A 2-hour show of just playing that. Hoping that Ray gets kicked in the nuts like 40 times.
This is not the America I dreamed of. I've seen Idiocracy. I will make sure that America's #1 show is not Ow My Balls.
We had some new fans this week on Twitter. New fans. Shout out to the Wiz, who seems to be following us now, which is nice.
Yes, Casey Midden. That's not the sound he makes when he's during his mating call. You should know better than that, Rod. It's more so like an awooga. That's when you know Pacey's come to town.
Like that?
Was that the sound of like a construction fire? I'm confused. Either that or every worker on the construction site's trying to zip up their coats, but then...
Rod, who else is following tonight? Anybody else?
Huh?
Well, I don't want... If there are people following me, I'm not aware of it. And
lots of people watching, I know that. Get back on there.
Rod wasn't prepared for me to throw it to him, apparently.
Here on them right now, is they all
Al Nash.
Right.
Hey, Superfan Al Nash is watching right now.
Nice.
Mark Anderson watching. Shout out to everybody that's watching on every platform, including our app. On Amazon Fire TV. Bang, bang.
And for those not watching, we will run through all of your names starting now. Victor Roberts.
You don't know that.
Don't.
Jonathan Drury. I don't expect him to be watching, though. He's racing. He has better things.
He does tune in between races, by the way.
Well, that doesn't have to be now. Does it, Ron?
I will say this. He's probably the second or third best driver up there right now, the way he's been driving. I mean, he's in the right barn, but even still, he's very aggressive and he's legit. He's really good.
I have the list of names of everyone not watching the show. Oh, it's Yannick Gingras on the winner's circle. Then there's Chad Rosma. I could try and mouth the words that they're saying, but we don't have the time to go into whatever existential thing they're talking about in this winner's circle interview, except Yannick's saying something about how his wife just makes the best biscuits by the looks of it. You gotta trust me on this. I have years of lip reading experience. I've been inside of many Starbucks, and I've watched many conversations happen outside of a Starbucks. So I'm an expert on what people talk about with their lips moving up and down. Something about biscuits. I can't read what his lips are saying right now because it's a replay of Hanover winning. And
that's what we need to do. We're gonna do a bad lip reading.
Well, what's real interesting is right now Yannick's talking about how you shouldn't invest in the S&P 500. You should just go for the Dow Jones. But to me, that sounds like you want to go for the NASDAQ if you're trying to invest in any kind of industrial market. But that's not necessarily my expertise. I guess Yannick probably has more years on me. in that field at the very least. And
well, you spent most of your life watching media, from what I understand.
What's even stranger is that he just said that the capital of Quebec is Toronto, and that's, I mean, Quebec is kind of Canada when you start to think about it on the grand scheme of things. They want to be Canada, they want to be their own country, but that to me that seems whoa, that's interesting. I never thought of it from that kind of existential sense, but here we are. That was Hanover never paid $650 to win in that Armbro flight elimination.
We'll never see that again the rest of the year.
Who trains Top Expectations? Is that Luke Blay now?
I will check for you.
Okay. The Motocon Hanover got third, and
no, it's Bergeron, who couldn't be any hotter than he is right now.
Yeah, he's on fire right now.
I mean, just anything he touches is just running crazy. Just really, really good.
His barn's usually been pretty sharp.
Yeah, but it's like at another level right now. I mean, he
built a whole new story on his house, so he's got.
No, I'm serious. I mean, he's that good right now. You know me; I'm not very prone to hyperbole.
Unlike one Mr. Shades himself, are we legally allowed to call you Shades? Not to confuse you with, is his name Brad?
Where, Tampa?
Yeah, well, he's
he don't count. He's probably watching right now. Wishing he had my shades.
Okay then.
That's such a nonsense. That's a nonsense. Why does he wish he had your shades? Because with my shades, not only do they block out the sun, but what it does is it lets me see through. It lets me see through people's safes, and I can.
We don't have enough racing tonight because we're gonna get a lot of Ray. Like it's gonna be a massive amount.
Do you understand how bogged down we've been this last couple of months with?
I know. I'm sure that has caused you to lose sleep.
Mike, it's cost my libido thousands.
No, I don't think that's possible.
Besides the Can-Am pick 4, we could talk about the sequence right now because aside from
I'm actually looking at I want to see who you like for race 6 here at Meadowlands.
Oh, race 6 at the Meadowlands. Are they getting ready to go for that?
Yeah, so I thought I'd take a look at NAHUpicks.com and see who you liked here because I haven't really looked at it.
Well, let's hope that I have some kind of idea of what I'm talking about after this whole night of just being pure chaos, like it was on Saturday night. Fox Valley Hermia is on the board 6-5. Not a big fan of her. I forget. Oh, John's One Desire at 10-1 is ridiculous. I mean, sure they haven't really been closing tonight, but this horse fired home last week.
Well, Sports Vision raced very well from off the pace.
Did he win?
No, he was third.
That's a great angle.
He was beat ahead. Finished third. Came from last.
In that claiming handicap race?
Yeah.
Where everyone was falling down?
Yep.
Okay, I can't necessarily count that as a race I saw tonight because I already forgot it happened.
7 here?
But I'm
off 2 freaking scratches. Oh, it's Zurich. Okay, never mind.
I can't believe that this 10 is 10-1 and the 7's taking that much play. Stonebridge Pearl, I don't recall liking this one much, but Another Pretty Face makes sense here at 7-1. And
you have many long shots.
But it's strange because I was just handicapping this race based off of some of what happened last week, and it's amazing that Pernia's Princess, who went first over to beat this group last week, albeit she won by a neck, is on the board at 11-1 right now. It's very rare that you see a horse that makes such a decisive move to win a race be so neglected. I mean, sure, Fox Valley Hermia is racing for Nick Zurich, but those miles she had before those 2 scratches weren't necessarily great. I put her
somehow 7-2 in the race off these lines. Like
Yeah. And not only that race Stonebridge Pearl put in last week was aided by the fast half in the first in that race. That's the only reason she wears the pants won that race.
It seems like a fairly good betting race to me, the way you're talking about it.
To me, it seems like the horse to bet's the 10, currently at 9-1. And then Fox Valley. Really, if Fox Valley Hermia wins this race, I'm just going to throw out my past performances. There's really no reason for them anymore at that point. as they're getting ready to go. I might as well call this race. Let's have some fun. As this is the 6 from the Meadowlands going behind the gate. 8-5 on the 7 Fox Valley Hermia. 7-2 on Stonebridge Pearl. You know, this track looks a lot different on TV as opposed to being in the actual booth. 5-1 then on Big Shoot and Bill Mann.
Billy Mann, I like that horse there.
Full field of 10. Fillies and mares, that's the condition. Read it on the screen. They're in line, in motion, and approaching the start. Often pacing far outside, John's One Desire dashes out with another pretty face to the center, also pushing. Fox Valley Hermia to her outside. Moving into that first turn, Stonebridge Pearl wide of Big Shoot towards the cones, who now gets away 5th, while another pretty face moves on to clear control. Pacing 6th, then Pyrenea's Princess to the opening quarter. Rather, she's behind Fear My Shadow. They're then back to Always As Fast, racing in 8th. 9th gets away Late Night Delight. And Katie Man Can Cook trails this field past the first quarter in 27-3. Here comes John's One Desire to now take control from Fox Valley Hermia to the backside, and now to lead here by about 2 lengths. Another pretty face then stalks in 3rd, 3.5 lengths from the top. Stonebridge Pearl then races 4th, moving past 3/8. Big Shoot sits 5th and is now prompted to move outside by Pyrenea's Princess, or rather Fear My Shadow is now 2nd over. Pyrenea's Princess is 3rd over. Always As Fast then shoots up the cones with Late Night Delight still 2nd to last, and Katie May Can Cook the trailer past a 56 1/2. 28-3 for that second quarter. Moving into the far turn, John's One Desire in control here by a length and a half. T-Trick now pulling the plugs here on Fox Valley Hermia as she chases from the pocket. Another pretty face locked in as Big Shoot stalls first over. Fear My Shadows caught behind that one as now she begins to gain some ground at 3/4. Stonebridge Pearl locked to the inside in 5th then, with Always As Fast needing room about 6 lengths from the front. Pyrenea's Princess fans wide, then it's Late Night Delight and Katie May Can Cook. 124-4 for 3/4. John's One Desire gets some separation, but Fox Valley Hermia now tips out of the pylons, trying to get to John's One Desire into the 8th pole. Fox Valley Hermia slingshots to the lead as John's One Desire gives chase from 2nd. Another pretty face to the outside dashes late too as Fox Valley Hermia needs the line. Another pretty face surging. Fox Valley Hermia holds on by a nose to win it. From another pretty face, John's One Desire in 152-3. Like I said, just throw away the past performances. Why do you need them anymore?
That's a close finish. I don't know.
No, that was Fox Valley Hermia. There's why even handicap the races? Just read the tote board. It's so ridiculous. That horse went off 2-1. I would have never taken the 7 at 2-1. Never.
Well, trainers sort of matter a little bit here.
Yeah, apparently Tripp doesn't. But then again, the 10's not a horse that should race on the lead. That was
the 10 raced really well. That was a good pick. I mean, they tried. You know, there's nothing wrong with that pick. It just wasn't.
Yeah. But again, her preferred style is from off a helmet. She's not a on the lead type.
But like you said, they went 1, 2, 3 around the racetrack. They're not closing, so they had to change it up to get something. I mean, at least they're paying attention. I'm fine with that. You know, go try. You know, don't sit in tenth like Manchego and miss the final. I mean, just I don't know.
All it would have taken would have been for Buter to just sit 3rd. He might have had it. Because that 7 probably couldn't have taken
I didn't mind the drive at all. It was fine. He just wasn't good enough.
To me, that looked like a race where just the pocket won it. And the pocket's been really hot at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, but the 7 got a perfect trip. He didn't have to, really go with that horse. He got the perfect setup. So you don't know how it would have if you would have went to the front. I think the 7 still wins the race. I mean, I don't know.
I don't think that just because if the 10 would have ducked back, the 6 gets the pocket. 6 probably had 6 then has less ground to make up. 6 could win the race. That was a race that was determined purely by how the trip laid out as opposed to the horse's ability. Like, sure, the 7 was 2-1, but did not win like a 2-1 favorite. Because the 10-1 second, or the 10-1 shot almost nailed him on the wire.
But the 7 got a perfect drive in the race. Perfect.
Yeah, and the point that I'm making is that from Saturday and even into tonight, the place to be, the pocket.
Okay.
Because earlier in the night, Skyway Billy won that claiming handicap race from the pocket. This horse just won from the pocket. Banksy won from the pocket early. It's been so much of
the front end's good there. That's okay. All right.
I mean, kind of. Horses aren't wiring the fields.
Well, no, but you better be 1, 2, 3 early if you want to win. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not coming from out of it, period.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, that's a good observation.
That was definitely happening last week. Exception stimulus plan, who had an incredibly fast pace to close into, gave Mike a stimulus plan.
Okay.
That horse that you had on top at NAHUpicks.com that paid $128.
Oh, I remember.
Okay. You see, it's by the sound of what you were saying, it sounded like you were forgetting, but you're just.
Oh, no. I just wanted to have you say it again because I wanted to sting you. Because both you two brainiacs, I give you one long shot the whole damn night. Do you think one of you could use it in the contest?
Well, look, I'm a professional handicapper. That's why in a handicapping contest, I finished in 50th place. I don't even know what exact place I finished.
My thought, though, is if you, just had a brain in your head, you would have finished first or second.
Well, you see, a brain in my head sounds very much like if I just blindly followed your advice, which you'd be correct.
Okay.
But
The
in
key
that brain,
is to know when to follow it. That's the key.
I would, and it's tough to know. It's tough to know. But in my expert opinion, this is my expert opinion time. Only like 10% of races you'll ever see are worth betting. Only 10%. Every other race, there's too much you cannot predict.
In my expert opinion, if you're playing a free contest, B, see a race where you think 7 horses can win, and C, you're one of your better friends on earth who sort of knows what he's doing most of the time, says, hey, look at this horse that was is going to be 30-1 or better, and you have no clue.
Does he sound offended?
The race, and you say, you know what? I'm going to let Mike pick this one for me.
Does he sound a bit offended there? I think he does.
That's much too logical, though. What do you think, Rod?
Lol.
And it was in that moment Rod lost his last brain cell. We now hold a moment of silence, remembering what was Rod's brain. Moment over. Okay, race 7 at the medal.
He just doesn't want to. He just doesn't want to engage.
Race 7 coming up in 16 minutes. Basically, here's been my problem as a handicapper as of late, and we're going to encounter it when we talk about these North America Cup of Limbs later on and the Fan Hanover later on. I've become, I think, too conscientious of horses, to the extent that when I was looking at those North American Cup limbs, those Fan Hanover limbs, I think like 6 to 8 horses have a shot to win those races.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I see ways for most horses to potentially win one of those races, and that's been happening in Meadowlands too.
I didn't feel that way. I don't know. I just didn't feel that way.
Well, keep in mind too, we all know Captain Crunch. Is he beatable? Potentially. But then when you say, is Captain Crunch beatable, you have to open it up to the rest of the field that's entered and realize how evenly matched they are on paper, unless you have some kind of gut feeling one of them is going to pop.
I feel like that race is extremely difficult, but the second one really is not.
Really? I don't. To me, working on a mystery in that limb seems too obvious.
Oh, see, I don't really like that horse. I'm not.
Okay, well,
I think I had the horse pick third. We'll talk about it, but I'm not.
We'll get more into those races later on, but I touched on that because that stimulus plan race was another instance of that. And this entire night at the Meadowlands, if you were looking at my form that I was doing my write-up with, you'll see I have most horses marked in some way. Like, here are my first contenders, here are my second contenders, more so than I did back in the day. Back in the day, I managed to be able to find 4 horses that had a shot to win, but now I have like 6 or 8. Because I see too much that can happen. I'm too aware of how races can fall apart instead of just trying to find the most likely outcome.
Well, this is a huge change for you because when we would talk about races and I would say, oh, I think that it's like this, you would disagree with me terribly and say, no, there's really only 2 horses in this race. Whereas now you're a lot more open-minded to things, I think, and different scenarios.
I also have I don't want to say grown. shifted from being that pure long shot guy. Not to say that I don't try to find outside contenders. That's one of my go-to moves, because I don't see the purpose of having a professional on TV to just tell you the favorite is the horse to beat.
Well, you should probably talk to the number one sports network and tell them that since they every single year pick the favorite to win everything that they are covering.
Well,
Whether it be the MLB, the NBA, NFL, horse racing, soccer, whoever is the morning line chalk in Vegas is who they're taking. Like for hockey. We'll give you a better instance that more people are adapt to. The NCAA tournament. Now, Mike, I know you paid attention to this too.
I have no clue what's going on.
Okay, so the NCAA tournament, you know there's 64 teams.
I know it's college.
Right. Okay. So it's seeded. The one seeds are the best teams on paper. And the 6 teams are the small schools that just get in with an automatic bid for winning their conference, right? So 64 teams, winner take all in each game, right? You got to window the tournament down. So you have to win 5 games in order to win this whole tournament. 6 games to win the entire thing. So you get 10 different analysts on a TV network. 6 of them in their Final Four have all 1 seeds. And the other 3 have 3 1s and a 2. Like, dude, you cannot go that chalky all the time. And they do it every single year. But somehow all these people have jobs that pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars to sit there and go, I like chalk.
Now, I don't want to insult their salaries. I would love to be one of those guys that could just say the obvious and get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. That sounds like a dream gig. More so, in situations like that, the odds are mostly stacked against you. Not only because, as you mentioned, it's a 6-game progression. So with each game, you have a 50% chance of losing, theoretically, not going into teams that have better players and all of the other nuances to the sport itself. And at the end of the day, when you have the favorite in parimutuel contests, the law is that 33% of favorites win any parimutuel contest. Over thousands to hundreds of thousands of races, that's what the odds will break down to. That means they lose 77% of the time. When you take a favorite, you have... What do you mean no? What do you mean no?
You should probably go back to Algebra 1.
67%!
Oh my God!
Still, the point lays certain that you have a more than 50% chance to lose when you have the most likely winner in the long run, if that's all you do. Sure, there will be heavy favorites that have 90% chance of winning that will dominate, because in that contest, in that isolated and independent event, that is where that was the most likely outcome of happening. But over the long term, it does not pay off that way. That's why we see 1 to 9 shots lose. That's why in the thoroughbreds, newspaper of record got beat by a 5 to 1 shot the other day. Not just because mathematically that kind of stuff happens. Even though newspaper of record was supposed to win, she got beat by her stablemate, who was the second choice. It's at the end of the day, the math breaks down like that. So it's absurd it's absurd to just go up and state the obvious. Like, for instance, this next race, the Meadowlands, the 7th race, which I'm trying to remember who these horses are. Say You Do. 5 to 2 on Say You Do. Do I think he's the best horse in the race? Yes. Do I think he could lose? Maybe. And then from there, you're trying to weigh how much you think that horse has a chance to win relative to what the odds are giving you, and that's where you go. That's where you get value and such. But to me, it seems there are many analysts, even just in general sports, that go on and just state the obvious. To which point I say, who cares? I can read the toe board. Am I going to tell you?
But we don't do that. Obviously, we try to find contrarian, things.
Yeah. So And that is why later in the show, Israel versus Palestine. We won't go into that because I do not. I can handicap a pick 4, but I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole at all because I have better things to worry about. Like in the morning, do I want eggs poached or over easy? Those are real questions that an American like me can solve. Race 7 at the Meadowlands is coming up in 8 minutes. Isn't there another elimination for the good times coming up? Or did it already go?
No, it's coming. It's the 8th, actually. So the 7th just went.
Oh, okay.
If you bet my pick 4 on NAHUpicks.com, the early pick 4, that cashed.
Bang, bang.
About $100 profit or so. Not bad.
Okay, yeah, this next good times limb's coming up. Let's go over this. Let's talk about this good times limb. Impromptu handicapping, as we call it. These are 3-year-old trotters. This is a race on the Hambletonian Trail. As some of these horses are eligible for the first Saturday in August. Kings County, I know is. Pilot Discretion, I know is. Southwind Avenger, I know is. Dream Nation, I don't remember. He may be eligible. And the same with Okeanos. Okeanos maybe, but I'm not sure.
Pretty sure he is.
Off the top of my head. Again, this is off the top of my head, and you know what's on the top of my head? Not lice, because I keep a well-oiled scalp where I use lots of shampoo, Head and Shoulders, vinegar.
We should try to look into getting Head and Shoulders to sponsor us with your haircut.
Pesticides.
Rod, get on that.
Rod, while you're at it, can you get Nike to sponsor us? Because
feel free to contribute to this show. Are you awake?
I'm awake.
Rod,
You guys are just going back and forth with each other.
Rod, what you gotta do is you gotta get John Deere tractors to sponsor us. That way during the Hambletonian show, you can start with you two guys. You go, hey, where's Ray? And then you cut to our next camera, and I'm riding through the grandstand on a John Deere tractor, and everyone is just looking at me like, why is this guy on a big rascal? And I say, fools! This is no rascal! I am no rascal! I am a deviant on a tractor! And then it has a horn, and it goes, boop, boop.
It has a what?
A horn.
Oh.
It does not have a horn, Mike. That is not the word I said. It was a hard N at the end. A hard N.
A what?
You see, what you
A
got?
hard end.
There's a hard N at the end of a what?
You don't want to talk when you drink water. I went over this at the beginning of the show, but no one listened to me. Now
I like Pilot Discretion. I bet it in the Hambo future wager.
I spit water all over me because that's what I view as entertainment. What are the odds shaping up to be right now?
We're waiting for them. 3-1 on
5 on Southwind Avenger. Wow, that's 3-5 on this horse? That seems...
That's a bit low.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, Dream Nation on the board at 19-1. Qualified decently at Pompano. Comes in off that qualifier. Broke at Flamborough. Only reason he broke was just because he didn't take the turn well. He comes back to the bigger track where he raced better last year. That's all I got to say about that. Horse was the odds-on favorite in that race at Flamborough, but didn't really seem too adept.
I think Louis probably gunned this horse a little bit too hard off the car, and that's why he made a break. Because he made it going into the first turn, and that's usually the cause, especially with trotters. When they go to a half break like that, and being on the rail, he was probably firing a little bit too hard out of there.
And now, by the looks of it, Mike, from how most of the races have shaped at Mohawk, it seems like the front's probably the place to be.
Yeah, it's better than not. So it's sort of like Meadowlands. You better be, ahead early. Like now, the last couple nights, last night they closed. Tuesday night they closed. Monday, I'm having a hard time remembering, really, but
I barely remember Monday too. That was like last week.
Monday.
So it was hard to discern the track. It was a lot of favorites on Monday.
Yeah, it was big chalks, but most of them were pretty close to the pace.
But I mean, I'm a lot less willing to discuss and really even consider a bias when you have 7 or 8 out of 10 favorites win. The best horses are winning. The track is even. Period.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to see something to make me think that part of the racetrack is better one way or the other for a horse that doesn't rate the same kind of chances as the other ones. So that's just how I discern bias. You could have 10 front end winners as favorites, and then I'm going to say that the track's even, because the right horses are winning. So that's just how I go. And I'm a big bias guy. Like I think that that's something very much worth paying attention to, very much worth following, not only the day of, but in future dates. And you can go back to that and say, yes, this horse was against here. This horse had a hard time here. The track played the closers and this horse was a speed horse. You can do that, but if you have 8 or 9 favorites win, you can't.
Well, let's take a look at the board for this race, because Pilot Discretion, your horse, up on the board at 2-1, and it seems like he's just best racing from off a helmet. He's going to be sitting close to the pace, which I'm trying to figure out what horse gets to the lead in this race. It's not going to be Okeanis to the inside, although it seems like they've been trying to get more speed out of this horse. Either that, or there was so little speed in that last race that he ended up just floating towards the top. And
that was the race that I was talking to Russ about. Were you here for that night? Whenever I said the drive on this horse that night, he was 1-9. And basically, McDonnell just put him in the middle of the racetrack and never touched him the whole way around the racetrack. And finally decided to get to front like 10 steps before the wire. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was just, like, you can't, that line, don't even bother look. I mean, you have to actually physically watch the replay. He just pulled the horse and let him go outside the entire way. I think the 3 will get the front. The 3 will get the front in this race. And, I think the 4 is going to go. The 6 is definitely going to go. He's going to be 1, 2, 3 early. And then whoever was on.
I'm actually on the 2 here a little bit. Again, if you missed it, we're talking about the 8th race at Mohawk coming up shortly.
Good times.
Because the horse is in good form. Last year this horse showed 54 and a piece up there at Mohawk and was in big races against good horses, similar to what he's in against tonight. He seems to have come back well. He's been in 2 cheaper races to start the year, but I have no issue with that because this horse is good enough. As long as he's flat, but like you said, last week he just sat there and he never even asked this horse to go. So I think he's got a lot left in the tank, and we should see a pretty good effort out of him tonight as a big titan for next week.
This horse may be 18-1, but I don't necessarily know if that means. Sure you could consider him dead on the board, but at the same time, Kings County's not in the best spot to race from. But he's coming off a decent qualifier. Kicked home in 26-4 to a 155 mile behind Don't Let Him, who I believe is probably racing right now at the Meadowlands. No, he's going to be going momentarily at the Meadowlands because this race would say Don't Let Him's the 2, currently on the board at 16-1. But does Kings County go? I imagine if he's going to be live, he goes. But it's hard. You're betting purely on just that assumption.
I mean, I think that horse is extremely difficult to gauge. He's going to have to be much the best to win this race from this spot off the layoff in the 9-hole. I mean, he better be, ready to win by 4 or 5 if he's going to beat these horses. Like, I just don't. He's not my kind for this week. Next week, maybe. Mm-hmm. Something to set him up here for next week. But I don't really see a lot of. I mean, if they go here, I would be shocked.
Yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate that now the betting started to even out. With the 6 Pilot Discretion going to be, or currently the favorite at even money. Southland Avenger floats to be 8-5, which makes sense just because Pilot Discretion most likely going to have the jump on Southland Avenger so long as that horse gets driven the same way he has as of late.
The thing is that horse has been good, but really hasn't beaten a whole lot. I mean, at all.
But this whole field, the only thing is Okeanos finished 3rd in the Bill Wellwood Memorial last year. He has that kind of back class. This horse always had a ton of late trot as a 2-year-old. He has that going for him. Aside from that, most of this field is just these non-winners of 2 type of horses. that makes me wonder if that really matters.
Maybe not.
I'm trying to look to the inside because it seems like if you're going to get any kind of upset or any kind of odds, it'd be towards some of these inside horses like Night Angel or even Scarlet Raider. If anything, probably Scarlet Raider. 20-1 seems like the best shot you have at getting some sort of pricing on the ticket.
Just think about it. Colucci's going well. Okay, you get Yannick. The horse is going to be near the front because the horse, but the horse when he's faced better horses, not very good. Mm-hmm. So. There's positives, but there's also negatives, and these are better horses.
I wouldn't necessarily say he wasn't very good. He never got a chance to race the one time. He broke around the first turn, so we don't necessarily know how good he would have been.
Yeah, but he's still 2 for 12.
Fair enough. Still 9 minutes to go.
He was great last year. So.
9 minutes to go. Southland Avenger clicks to be 8-1 in one flash. That's interesting. Okeanos.
Wait a minute, what?
Down to 5-1, yeah.
Yeah, that's somebody messing with the board.
Probably. 0 minutes to go till the 7th at the Meadowlands, where we have another Hambletonian hopeful towards the inside. Don't let him going in against older horses. Did you
play any future bets? Any?
I recently opened up an ADW account, and my ADW didn't have it, believe it or not, which is really annoying because I wanted to place some bets. I have bets from the first future pull in on Green Man Alishi, so I'm still riding on those. I think he was 18-1 in the first pool. The second pool did handle incredibly well, though, $6,000 compared to the first one of the year. But I think that's also, too, just because we've seen some of these horses race now, and we have a better idea of how they're coming back as 3-year-olds. I mean, sure, that doesn't necessarily deter some people who bet futures, such as the Kentucky Derby future.
I want to know who's taking 3 to 5 on that horse in the future book. I mean, are you kidding me?
To me, sure, Green Shoe, sure he won in 50 and 3, but I still feel like on Hambo Day that horse is going to run. I have that
feeling. You can't take 3 to 5 2 months before the stupid race.
No,
you can't do it.
You can't.
I mean, I don't want it to take it that day, knowing the horse is behind the gate. Let alone 2 months from now. No. Anybody that's doing that, stop betting.
After you cash your ticket, stop betting.
No, just stop. Find something else to do.
Get into cricket. Maybe you could be the first person to figure out how the hell to play cricket.
Seriously. I mean, come on. Like, let's be real about it. Just don't do it.
That is not... I swear to God, Rob, if you take one more thing literally, I'm going to take that sound and wrap it around your little white neck, you beautiful little slut. 7th race at the medal, going to the post. You see, what's really progressive is interlacing compliments inside of your insults. It really confuses the bejesus out of you.
I am kind of good at that.
Oh, Mike, you devilishly handsome jerk. See what I mean? Mm-hmm. 7th race of the medal is behind the gate. Moving up. 6-5. You're on Say You Do.
How was it 3-18-1 in the race? Are they crazy? Yeah.
I know, he pulled his shoes. He didn't finish the mile last week. We'll see how he finishes tonight.
18.
Is this the deal? At the start, and they're off. Princess Deo broke before the start, but Say You Do push towards command. Fashion Woodchopper floats out. My Lindy Winner to his inside also pushes for position, and You Need Stones quickest to the cones around the first turn, but My Lindy Winner now surging to the top. You Need Stones yields for second. Say You Do rushes up to be third and gives cover to Fashion Woodchopper, who now drops back behind Don't Let Him to the opening quarter. On the ropes, lets him float into position as now he trots into 7th rather. Is back 8th comes Chief Justice. 9th then Stonebridge Gamble, and Lucky Sheila trails past the 28-second opening quarter. Down the backside, Say You Do. The odds-on choice ahead of My Lindy Winner by about 2 lengths. Sitting third, You Need Stones to the half mile, while Don't Let Him's unhurried from 4th. fifth still, Fashion Woodchopper trying to get underway, as now Dexter Dunn pushes Fashion Woodchopper first over, on the ropes, catches that cover. Third up comes Chief Justice past a 56 and 2/2, while Stonebridge Gamble sticks towards the pylons and Lucky Sheila still sits last. Now moving into the final turn, Say You Do leads My Lindy winner still by 2 as Fashion Woodchopper now ranges up to match strides with the pocket sitter. You Need Stones shuffled back to 4th. Outside comes On the Ropes second over with about 2.5 lengths, 3 lengths to make up on the leader, as now On the Ropes goes off stride. Behind that one, Chief Justice gets rough, leaving room for Don't Let Him to tip off the cones past 3/4 in 125. Top of the lane, Say You Do leads by 2. Outside comes My Lindy winner deeper on the track. Don't Let Him unleashed by Johansson, but with 4.5 lengths to make up into the 8th pole. Say You Do, My Lindy winner from in between. Don't Let Him full of trot to the outside. Don't Let Him dashing after Say You Do as the line looms. Say You Do, and Don't Let Him maybe Say You Do held on by a nose. Don't Let Him rush to be second from My Lindy winner chasing in between. 152.
Nice race to do there.
Don't Let Him's back. That 27-second final quarter. That horse kicked him in 26 and 1 or 26 and 2.
That horse is pretty low to the ground and really kind of gets after it. Holy man.
Don't you remember watching him Hambo Day? That horse has so much speed. All he wants to do is go. It's incredible. He's got his eyes.
That's a cool little horse there.
He's quick. He's good. After that race, I would love to have him in the future pool. And he went off at like 36 or 40 to 1. Missed by a nose in his first start.
Look how low it gets to the ground.
Hey, on Ambo Day, sometimes it takes a nose to win. I think Stanley Dancer once said that. As it comes in 9-2-4, I missed you.
We got a Can-Am to talk about.
Yes. So let's start going into the Can-Am Pick 4 sequence. That starts with race number 10 at Woodbine Mohawk Park. So 2 races from now starts this. No guarantee on this sequence, but it usually gets around $50,000 in the pool. For some reason, in the first leg, my program didn't have the condition in the center. The condition was listed with all of the bets in the race. So just for those wondering if this happened to you as well, just write a big NW3 in the center of your program. This is a non-winners of 3 pace with a bunch of other extra conditions tagged on that, quite frankly, I am not concerned about.
The only other condition is non-winners of 55,000 lifetime.
Like I said, do I care how much money these horses have earned? No, I don't even want to know how much my neighbor makes because it will make me sad. This first leg, though, Mike, you kick things off with the pretty decent spread. You're 4 deep.
4 deep. It's these numbers of 3 are kind of tougher races. They take turns beating each other in a lot of nights, and I think there's 4 that can win. The one, Cannon Cameron, this is Nixon, McClure, draws well, has been right there at this level. The past 4 starts, did win on April the 20th, and then, sort of tailed off, got checks. Last time had a really nice trip and ended up 3rd, but still kicked 26 and 3. With these connections, they're sharp right now. I'm using that one. The 5, Battle Strong. This horse has won 3 out of the last 4, and that race at Flamborough really had no chance from the 7 hole. So he's improving. Steps up, though, so we'll see. Christopher also picked this one, and he's been driving very well. I'll use that one. The 7, Carson Shadow, I think a must-use in the race. If you look back to those straight numbers of 2, those were tough races, and this horse was flying down the middle of the racetrack to win, 26 and 3, 26 and 1, just coming from nowhere, with Richardson to win. Then ran in that gold with, Best in Show, Bronx Sealster, Stag Party, all horses that are racing tomorrow in the North American Cup. And this horse went sideways at the gate and broke and had no chance. So pitch that race. If you go back to those straight numbers of 2 races, this horse is very live, and you get 10 to 1 morning line. And then the 8, Sugartown, Waugh, Moreau, kicked 26 last time from a complete impossible spot. Was basically even money in that race. Prior to that, raced a very fast grassroots race at Flamborough. This horse is a must-use and is probably going to be the favorite in the race. So I'm 1-5-7-8.
I thought that was a decent spread, but then I looked at Rod's ticket. Whoa, wow! Oh, you got 5.
Yeah, I'm five deep here to start it off. I love this sequence tonight. It's a great sequence. I think it's going to pay very well with any combination that comes in because there's a lot of horses that are going to be taking play here. But I'm starting with the 3, the first step for Phil Hudon and Tim Gillespie. He's been in good form in numbers of 2, coming from off the pace, first over last week, racing very well, home in 27 mile, 51 and change. I can't fault what this horse is doing right now. It's his fourth start back off the layoff, and he looks like he's primed and ready to win a race. The 4 better Moon on over. Another one, he won last week. Got a nice setup there, but now you get James McDonald to drive for a sharp horse, a sharp barn, Blake McIntosh, and 2 good efforts in a row. I think this horse is ready to go again. He just needs to set up, I think, against some of these. The 5 Battle Strong. I really don't have much to add from what Mike said. It's Tony O'Sullivan, and this horse likes to win. He's 5 for 12 lifetime. Nothing bad that I can see there. The 7 Carson Shadow. Like Mike said, tossed that last race where he broke behind the gate. Obviously, he needs to stay flat behind the gate, but this horse has some pretty good talent. Kicking home in 26 and change. I don't see you getting the morning line odds, but the morning line is great, especially for first leg in the pick 4. And then the 8 Sugar Town, I think, is pretty obvious with Law and Moreau. He's just been okay. I'm not sold on him. He's been the favorite the last 3 times, burned money twice. So you got to watch out for a horse like this, but you have to have him on your ticket, I think, because he is very, very fast. But he does need a setup. So 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 for me.
My opinion aligns more with Mike's. I do take the 1, 5, and 8. Don't take the 7 Carson's Shadow on account of I'm not sure how many more times this horse can just swoop the field, especially how he did it 2 starts back almost a month ago to this point on May 19th. I was a rally that did get him the victory, but very narrowly. So I'll take my chances to try and get some horses that can maybe kick to the wire before him. I do use the 1, Candid Cameron. This horse will most likely sit up close to the lead. Sat a pocket trip last out, then kind of hung in the stretch. Still finished 3rd by less than a length, coming with 26 and change. That was a final quarter sprint. So the fact that he gained some ground, it gives me confidence enough to think that with that inside spot, if he works out a similar trip, he may be more of a contender. It's also just hard to tell how fast they'll go up front in this race. Better Moon on over. Might work out a similar trip too. This one showed a lot of late pace off of a rail trip, or rather a pylon trip, I should say. There's no rail anymore. Gained 4 lengths to win by a neck at odds of 20 to 1. While this horse didn't, necessarily she wasn't the favorite or not supposed to win that race. Or he wasn't supposed to win that race, still seems like if he works out some kind of trip, that might play into his favor. Battle Strong just seems like he could be the pace of the race. He could get to the front, and if he's the best horse, just go down. Go straight to the winner's circle. He doesn't have to hit the wire. You can just go to the winner's circle and I'll go, okay, I guess he won the race. If not, then maybe Sugar Town, who I wasn't a big fan of when he was down here for the Wiglet Jiglet series, but seems to be racing well against similar competition. While Roz said he has burned some money in the past, it seems like all he needs to do is just sit somewhat close to the pace, and then he can capitalize off the trip. But in the starts where he's lost up here, he's just been too far back. 1, 4, 5, 8 from me in the first leg of the Can-Am. The second leg is race number 10 from the Meadowlands. We're 20 seconds away from the second elimination of the Good Times. Do we call it? Do we give coverage to this race?
Sure, whatever you want to do.
Well, I feel we should. This is an important race on the Hamiltonian Trail.
Any race at Mohawk is fine with me.
I did go on the 2
Pilot discretion, still the pilot discretion. I think I'm having
five's too short here, Rod. Or 2's too short here, Rod. 5 to 1's too short.
4 to 5 here on pilot discretion. Second choice at 3 to 1
like
5 South with Avenger.
I still
Third
like
choice at 5 to 1 the 2 of Giannis. Kings County taking a ton of play late. He's down to 8 to 1.
Problem is there's nobody else to bet in the race besides the I think, the 2, 5, and 6. You know what I mean? So that's why the money's kicking out to the 9 there. Like you said, there's a lot of non-horse of 2 type horses in the race. So this horse has some class to him. We'll see. I think the 6 is going to win easy, but that's just me.
Second elimination for the Good Times is the top of the stretch. This field is in motion and approaching the start. Often trotting Jump Shot to the outside, jets out with towards the center, Southwind, Avenger, and Dream Nation towards his inside, as Scarlet Raider also shows speed, and Okeanos goes off stride, moving past the first eighth. Dream Nation gets to the cones, now takes the lead, while Southwind Avengers pushed for Henry towards the top, with Scarlet Raider to the inside, third, circling the first turn. Kings County gets away fourth, to the inside then comes Night Angel fifth, now sixth, as Kings County looks for position in behind Pilot Discretion, now angling off the pylons for McCarthy past the 27-1 opening quarter. Jump Shot's third to last, all wrapped up second to last. Early breaker Okeanos wraps the field, moving to the backside. Dream Nation and Dubé out and moving after Southwind Avenger, now to put a neck in front, a half length in front. He's a length in front and moving to the lead, heading to the half. Southwind Avenger yields as to the outside. Pilot Discretion rushes up to take command for McCarthy, back third, or fourth rather. Scarlet Raider shuffled back. Gap of 3.5 then to Night Angel in fifth, sitting sixth, Jump Shot. They're then back to all wrapped up off stride when Kings County and Okeanos still trails. Quick half, 55-1, 28 seconds for that second quarter. A contested pace into the final turn has Pilot Discretion on the lead by 2. Dream Nation stalks from second. Southwind Avenger now goes for Henry from third. Moves up to second and has a length and a half to make up, coming to three quarters. Scarlet Raider to the inside needs room as Night Angel stalls. 3 high comes Jump Shot from the back. Chased all by wrapped up past 3 quarters in 124. Pilot Discretion still rolling. In front by 2 from Southwind Avenger to the outside. Dream Nation now retreating for Dubé. Then Scarlet Raider backs into the rest of the field with Jump Shot and Night Angel into the 8th pole. Pilot Discretion is in full flight. Pilot Discretion kicks away by 4.5 to win the second elimination for the Good Times by about 3.5 then in the end. From Southwind Avenger, then for third, looked like maybe Scarlet Raider, I forget, 152.
That horse is going to be legitimate.
That was a big mile.
Yeah, and the thing is you don't know what, this horse is still improving, and that's what we talked about last week with this, about betting the Hambo futures. You want a horse on the come like this.
Mm-hmm.
If that was the time to get a horse like this, I thought.
That was and our commercial's playing at the Melons right now. Perfect. That's how I know to turn it off. Okay. As the favorite, Pilot Discretion wins the second elimination of the Good Times. That horse is unraced as a 2-year-old, if I'm not... No, he raced as a 2-year-old. He raced very briefly as a 2-year-old.
He's undefeated. They still haven't beat him yet.
Oh, so... Albeit he's against hours of 2s, but the record still stands.
Well, yeah, but he's fast. You can only beat who you're putting up, against you. We'll see next week.
You sounded so sad about that. Like, you can only beat the horses he's against.
Well, no, but I get what you're saying, but, he's a late developer. That's the whole point of this.
Mm-hmm.
He's not somebody that won $600,000 at 2. No, he didn't. But
although if that's how much I care about unbeaten records, you'll love to hear what I have to say about Sunny D later on.
That's going to be an interesting race.
Second leg of the Can-Am Pick 4. Let's rip through this before we go to break. Second leg is the 10th race at the Meadowlands. Field of 10 going poster for this number is a $3,500 event. Mike, you went fairly deep in this race.
Yeah, this 10 scratch, so I'm 4 deep. The 2 McClinchy's obvious, dropping, draws inside, gets a driver change. That's a use. The 4, Rock on Precious, another one that gets post relief and drops back to numbers at 35. Kick 26 and 4, 2 back with Jingra. You get Vinny, 0 for 14 this year, but you're getting a price, so I'm okay with that. The 6, Legion of Boom, gets a giant driver change off a break. Really using the horse for that reason only. And then the 7, Mr. Carrots, has broken 2 in a row. The first one was an interference break. The last time the horse was moving and broke. Has burned a ton of cash, but has class and, is capable of beating these horses. 2, 4, 6, 7.
Ron, you're 4 deep and you don't even use the winners. How is that possible?
Well, I'm not too far off from where Mike's at here. I'm starting inside the one Profit Blue Chip. Tyler Buter. From the rail, you get a driver change here. Track switch back to the Meadowlands. This horse, his racing is tougher at the Meadowlands. His last three starts over there were against Nowers 6,000. This is a 35, Nowers a 3,500 last five. So from the rail, I expect this horse to get away halfway close and keep some of these at bay early. Hopefully he can get a 2 or 3 hole trip here at a big price. The two McClinchy, like Mike said, this one's very obvious with Eric Abatello jumping on now. Second start back over the big track, and you get the class drop as well. He's probably going to be pretty tough to beat. The Sixth Legion of Boom. This is another one. You get a giant driver change here. That's the only reason I'm using this horse. He's supposed to be right there with this driver change. Probably like 3 seconds. Then the 7, Mr. Carrots. He's had a little bit of bad luck recently, but Andy Miller jumps on now. This horse is definitely fast enough. He is kind of a trip horse, so you got to be careful with him. But from this spot, he should get a nice setup and be close late. 1, 2, 6, 7.
Okay, look. If you don't use either of these horses, I care. You'll have a hard time getting past this sequence or past this leg at the very least. Rock on Precious drops back to the bottom level. 2 and 3 starts back. This horse raced really well against this group, and not only that, the only reason he lost is because there were horses dropping from higher levels than him in these races. Such as 2 starts back, he lost to Ocean Colony, who usually races around the 12-5 level when he's good, and Stone Dust, who just has needed to drop down after racing against Tougher in order to get some kind of win. So coming back to this level, this horse seems like he's good enough to beat this group so long as he gets the right trip, which so far he has. It's just better horses have beat him. And the other one to consider to the outside, Mateo drops the claiming tag, was entered for a claiming tag last out, but then got wiped out when Sir Richie made a break into the final turn, halted all of his progress, forcing him to finish 8th. Prior to was 3rd behind Rock on Precious and another daily copy who moved up the class ladder here at the Meadowlands to be within the numbers of 17-5 level, racing with some of the best pacers on the grounds that aren't the preferred types. And that was back in the bottom level company a couple weeks ago as another daily copy was getting better and better and better and better. So to me, that signals that Mateo is a decent horse that fits this level, and he just needs to not get wiped out by a horse breaking into the final turn. 4-8 for me in the second leg. Third leg is race 11 at Woodbine Mohawk Park. It's an hours of 11,000 their last 5 starts for Philly and Mare Pacers. Starting with you, Mike, 3 deep.
3 deep, 1, circle the page. Was in a good spot last time, but it just was out too long. Made this big move. Klug Street wasn't losing that race. Draws well, gets Henry back. Must use. The 5, Outlaw, I'm a Hot Vixen, had been racing at upper levels and took about a month off for Cullen. Kicked 26 and 1 last time against Mock and Hope, and Mock and Hope went wire to wire there. So this horse is drawn well and has the back class to beat these horses. Just, won 7 times last year, but only 1 of 16 this year. And then the 7, Mock and Hope, obvious horse, dropped from numbers of 25 to numbers of 10-5 last time and crushed. That was the horse's best race ever. Now steps back up slightly, but should be able to handle these with any sort of similar effort. 1-5-7.
Rod, you almost have the exact same numbers.
Close. Instead of the one, I'm using 3 Quebec Blue Chip for the Jamesons. This is one had 6 wins last year. As a 2-year-old, basically racing in the Ontario Sire Stakes Gold Series, and came back as their third start back. I think the additional Lasix this season, plus now it's third start back. This one is primed for a big race. He's going to give her an easy trip, but as a value play, I think this one, as long as the trip works out right, she's going to be coming late, and she's got a good enough late kick. She can outclose just about everything in here, outside of maybe the 5 Outlaw and the Hot Vixen, who I'm also using off of that big race last time and a needed race last time, and the 7 Mock and Hope, who was sharp last week on that class drop and should be right there once again. Probably going to be the favorite. So 3-5-7.
The only time I recall considering Quebec Blue Chip a real threat was back in the Battle of the Bells over at Grand River when she was just coming into the races. Since then, she's kind of leveled out to be an average type of Ontario Sire Stakes performer. And now that she's going up against older mares, I can't really say that I want much to do with her. I side more on Mike, in fact, entirely on Mike's side. I'm 157 in this race with not much else to add. Those are the most obvious contenders for me. Circle the page on the class drop, Outlaw on Vixen, second start off the layoff, and Mock and Hope beat this group last week. Very simple, and if it doesn't turn out that way, I'll blame the tote board. Final leg is race 11 of the Can-Am Pick 4. This is a numbers of $9,000 trotting event with a bunch of other restrictions. This was an incredibly tough race. Rod, I have no idea how you just took the outside three.
I think they're the three best horses. The eight, Zlatan. For Vinny Fusco, Vinny Ginsburg drives. Coming off a pretty good qualifier over at Gateway Farm in New Jersey. He left in that qualifier, he sat the pocket, and then popped late. And I thought it was very good. He just kind of sat there, didn't do much. He got a tightener, and basically is all he was doing there. He's fast enough. He's faster than just about everything in this race. So he's a must-use in my opinion. The 9 mugshot Jess. Steve Smith drives tonight. Second start over this track. I think Plays has to work out a trip from out here, but is definitely capable. And the form is solid off of that last race where he got just jammed up inside until late, and then came after found some room. Then the 10 gonna fly for Brian Sears. It's the driver change for Brian Sears. First time he's driving this one and comes in off a very good effort. Got beat by Mugshot Jess last week, who I'm also using and did race well there from post 9. Again, outside post this week. Not great, but I think the driver change for Brian Sears is also going to help. So 8, 9, 10 for me.
Mike, you're somewhat closer on the right track in this race.
Yeah, I agree with the 10. I mean, that's the horse is obvious with the driver switch. And, I've been racing from outside post and racing well. Was 3.5 to 1 against these horses last time with Tyler Buter. That pretty much tells you all you need to know. The 7, I think, is worth the use. Djokovic that, broke a tie, but just get rid of that race on a sloppy track. This horse moved up the ladder. Yonkers won 3 straight. End of April, early May. Belongs in this race, gets a better draw, big track now. From a class standpoint, I think is worth using. And then the 5, this horse is interesting off that last race. Kicked 27-3 against Gold Medal Swan, Shady McCoy. Those are decent horses. Really no worse than anything that's in this race. Draws well, gets Dexter done. It's having a solid enough year, and you get 15-1 morning line. I'm 5, 7, 10 to finish.
I was trying to remember a specific thing with Brian Sears because I just went into the statistics. For anyone who's wondering, he's only been winning at like a 9% clip, 9.8% clip to be exact so far.
But he's still Brian Sears.
But my point being is, I mean, sure, it's a driver change to Brian Sears, but it doesn't have as much weight as it would have couple years ago. But even then, he was also getting really good horses. Gonna Fly seems like a valid contender, but just on the driver change alone, I'm not sure how much more Brian could get out of this horse in this race. I have 3 contenders. Mike, you mentioned 2 of them, the 5 and the 7. The 5, Inuk Chuck, I use purely because most of this field is garbage, and this one is moving up in class despite still fitting the nominators of $6,000 tag by a couple of dollars. Interesting move on the part of the connections, but he raced well enough last out to make me think that it's an intentional move up in class. They feel that this horse can handle the tougher competition, that he seems to be improving since shipping over from Freehold. I'll take the bait at 15 to 1. It seems like he's a valid enough contender in this race. Djokovic has raced well mostly on the smaller tracks. His speed has been better suited there. If he doesn't break, I imagine he could be a contender on the bigger track, but again, those races that he was contesting,
he's doing well also.
But the race he was contesting, they were going like 59 to the half, 1 minute to the half. Tough to read what form this kind of what kind of form this horse has. Although he's winning the races, so he's at the very least doing the bare minimum what he's supposed to do to be a contender in this
Well, the
race.
59 was a sloppy track, Ray. I mean, that's,
Yeah, but at Saratoga, that was a minute, and then the only other race that makes sense from a speed standpoint is at Pocono, but he also broke in that race. So it's just a question about whether he stays flat or not. In all honesty, aside from them, I'm surprised no one takes Explosive Ridge. This horse was a valid contender against this caliber of horse back early in the meet. Was finishing behind Rock of Cashel, Don Dream, Double L Lindy, Dawson Springs, a bunch of decent horses that were just kind of some of them getting their groove as the seasons were turning. And this horse decided to take a month off, came back off a decent qualifier for Richard Johnson over a good track, and to me just seems like a sneaky contender from this inside spot. Seems like that qualifier is not meant to stand out, just to make sure he's ready to go again. He got through it, and from that inside spot, I have one of those sneaking suspicions that this guy could be a live shot at a big price. So I'm 257 in the last leg of this Can-Am Pick 4, which makes my ticket go as follows. For 20 cents, I'm 1458 with 48 with 25 or with 157 with 257. $14.40 for 20 cents. Mike, your ticket.
1578 with 2467. 157 with 5710. It's 2880.
Rod.
3, 4, 5, 7, 8 with 1, 2, 6, 7 with 3, 5, 7 with 8, 9, 10. It's $36.
With all that, we're already into the second hour, but we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back here with more North American RS update, we'll have live coverage of the Can-Am Pick 4 as well as analysis for this Sunday at Running Aces and the eliminations at Woodbine Mohawk Park on Saturday, being tomorrow, June 8th. All of that and more after one of the greatest songs ever written.